we at though? Where did we stop? Ah, yes. Okay, a lead. Now we're somewhere else. Okay. It was an agony to see Nehemia, young and strong and wise, speaking to Elena in the marshes among the same ruins. And then there was the other agony, that Elena and Nehemia had known each other and worked together. That Elena had laid these plans 1,000 years ago, that Nehemia had gone to Rifthold knowing she'd die, knowing she'd need to break Aelin, use her death to break her, so she could walk away from the assassin and ascend her throne. She's kind of a bitch. Aelin and Manon were shown another scene of a whispered conversation at midnight deep beneath the glass castle. A queen and a princess meeting in secret, as they had for months. The queen asking the princess to pay the price she'd offer back in the marshes. Wait, is this the chapter from Crown of Midnight where we got Nehemia's point of view?
Mm-hmm.
To arrange for her own death, to set this all in motion, Nehemia had warned Elena that Aelin would be broken. Worse, that she would go so far into the abyss of rage and despair that she wouldn't be able to get out, not as Selena. Nehemia had been right. Aelin was shaking in her half-invisible body, shaking so badly she thought her skin would ripple off her bones. Manon stepped closer, perhaps the only comfort the witch knew how to offer, solidarity. They stared into the swirling mist again, where the scenes, the memories had unfolded. Aelin wasn't sure she could stomach another truth, another revelation of just how thoroughly Elena had sold her and Dorian to the gods for the fool's mistake she'd made, not understanding the lock's true purpose to seal Erwin in the tomb rather than let Brannon finally end it and send the gods to wherever they called home, dragging Erwin with them. Send them home, using the keys to open the word gate and a new lock to seal it forever. Nameless is my price. Using her power, drained to the last drop, her life to forge the new lock, to wield the power of the keys only once, just once, to banish them all, and then seal the gate forever. Memories flickered by. Elena and Brannon screaming at each other in a room Aelin had not seen for 10 years, the king's suite in the palace at Arinth. Her suite, or it would have been. A necklace glittered at Elena's throat. The eye, the first and now broken lock that Elena, now the Queen of Ardalan, seemed to wear as some sort of reminder of her foolishness, her promise to those furious gods. Her argument with her father raged and raged until the princess walked out and Aelin knew Elena had never returned to that shiny place or palace in the north. Then the reveal of that witch mirror in some nondescript stone chamber, a black-haired beauty with a crown of stars standing before Elena and Gavin, explaining how the witch mirror worked, how it would contain these memories. Rhiannon? Rhiannon Crocken. Manon started at the sight of her, and Aelin glanced between them. The face, it was the same. Manon's face and Rhiannon. No, the last broken queen of two separate eras. Then an image of Brannon alone, head in his hands, weeping before a shrouded body atop a stone altar, a crone's bent shape lay beneath. Elena, her immortal grace yielded in order to live out a human life span with Gavin. Brannon still looked no older than 30. Oh, that's messed up. Brannon, the heat of 1,000 forges shining on his golden red hair, his teeth bared in a snarl as he pounded a metal disc onto an anvil, the muscles of his back rippling beneath golden skin as he struck and struck. It kind of sounds hot. All right. As he forged the amulet of Orinth, and he placed a sliver of black stone within each side, then sealed it, defiance written in every line of his body. Then wrote the message in word marks on the back, one message for her, for his true heir, should Elena's punishment and promise of the gods hold true. The punishment and promise that had cleaved them, that Brannon could not and would not accept, not while he had strength left. Nameless is my price, written right there, in word marks. The one who bore Brandon's mark, the mark of the bastard born nameless, She would be the cost to end this. The message on the back of the amulet of Arinth was the only warning he could offer, the only apology for what his daughter had done, even as it contained a secret inside, so that no one must know, no one could ever be told. But there would be clues for her to finish what they'd started. Brennan built Elena's tomb with his own hands, carved the messages in there for Aelin too. He's gotta be really ripped. Okay. The riddles and the clues, the best he could offer to explain the truth while keeping the keys hidden from the world, from powers who would use them to rule to destroy. Then he made Mort. I miss that guy.
I miss Mort too.
The medal for the door knocker gifted by Croken, who brushed a hand over the king's cheek before she left the tomb. Rhiannon?
Rhiannon.
Rhiannon.
Whatever.
God, these freaking names. Rhiannon was not present when Brandon hid this sliver of black stone beneath the jewel in Elena's crown, the second word key, or when he set Damaris in its stand near the second sarcophagus. For the mortal king he hated and had barely tolerated, but he had leashed that loathing for his daughter's sake. Even if Gavin had taken his daughter, the daughter of his soul, away from him, the final key, he went to Mala's temple. That didn't make sense. Whatever. It's okay. Might be the cherry coke talking.
Mm-hmm.
It was where he had wanted to end this all along anyway. The molten fire around the temple was a song in his blood, a beckoning, a welcoming. Only those with his gifts, her gifts, could get there. Even the priestesses could not reach the island in the heart of the molten river. Only his heir would be able to do that, or whoever held another key. So he set the remaining key under a flagstone, and then he walked into the molten river, into the burning heart of his beloved. And Bernan, King of Terrace and Lord of Fire, did not emerge again. That's dramatic as... Oh, thank you for the key, Sarah. That's dramatic as hell, though. Of course, you know what? They're a whole family of dramatics, if you haven't noticed that.
Yeah.
But
Let's
Aelin... see.
Aelin comes by it honestly.
What?
Aelin comes by her dramatics honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Aelin didn't know why it surprised her to be able to cry in this body, that this body had tears to spill, but Aelin shed them for Brannon, who knew what Elena had promised the gods and had raged against it, the passing of this burden onto one of his descendants. Brannon had done what he could for her to soften the blow of the promise if he could not change its course wholly. To give Aelin a fighting chance. Nameless is my price. I don't understand what this means, Manon said quietly. Well, it's okay. Aelin did not have the words to tell her. She had not been able to tell Rowan. Oh. Wow. But then Elena appeared, real as they were, and stared into the fading golden light of Mala's temple as memory vanished. I'm sorry, she said to Aelin. That's it?
Oh.
Manon stiffened as Elena's approach, taking a step from Aelin's side. It was the only way, Elena had offered. This was genuine pain in her eyes, regret. Was it a choice or just to spare Gavin's precious bloodline that I was the one who was selected? The voice that came from Aelin's throat was raw, vicious. Why spill Havillard blood, after all, when you could fall back on old habits and choose another to bear the burden? Elena flinched. Dorian was not ready. You were. The choice Nehemia and I made was to ensure that things went according to plan. According to plan, Aelin breathed. According to all your schemes to make me clean up the mess of what you started with your goddamn thieving and cowardice. Oh, there's a big paragraph. All right, Elena, let's get the information. Let's do this. They wanted me to suffer, Elena said, and I have. Knowing you must do this, bear this burden. It had been a steady, endless shredding of my soul for 1,000 years. It was so easy to say yes, to imagine you would be a stranger, someone who would not need to know the truth, only to be in the right place with the right gift, and yet I was wrong. I was so wrong. Elena lifted her hands before her, palms up. I thought Erwin would rise, and the world would face him. I did not know the darkness would fall. I did not know that your land would suffer. Suffer as I tried to keep mine from suffering. And there were so many voices even before Ardalan conquered. It was those voices that woke me, the voices of those wishing for an answer, for help. Elena's eyes slid to Manon, then back to hers. They were from all kingdoms, all races, human, witch kind, fae. But they wove a tapestry of dreams, all begging for the one thing, a better world. Then you were born, and you were an answer to the gathering darkness with that flame. My father's flame, my mother's might, reborn at last. And you were strong, Aelin, so strong and so vulnerable. Not to outside threats, but the threat of your own heart, the isolation of your power. But there were those who knew you for what you were, what you could offer, your parents, the court, your great uncle, and Adian. Adian knew you were the queen who was promised without knowing what it meant, without knowing anything about you or me or what I did to spare my own people. The words hit her like stones. The queen who was promised, Aelin said, but not to the world, to the gods, to the keys, to pay the price, to be the sacrifice in order to seal the keys in the gate at last. Oh, okay. Deanna's appearance hadn't been only to tell her how to use the mirror, but to remind her that she belonged to them. I knew it. It was a thing of like, look what I can do. Oh, had a debt owed to them. Aelin said too quietly, I didn't survive the night in the flowing river because of pure luck, did I? Oh, wait. Oh, no. We did not. No. Show me. Oh, no. Aelin's throat bobbed, and then the mist turned black and colored, and the very air around them became laced with frost. Breaking branches, ragged breath punctured with gasping sobs, light footsteps crashing through the bramble and bush, a horse's thunderous gait closing in. Aelin made herself stand still with the familiar frozen wood appeared, exactly as she remembered it, as she appeared so small and young, white nightgown torn and muddy, hair wild, eyes bright with terror and grief so profound it had broken her entirely, frantic to reach the roaring river, the bridge. There were the posts and the forest on their side, her sanctuary, Manon. I don't want to get yelled at by you guys. Manon swore softly as Aelin Galathinius
Yay!
flung herself through the bridge posts, realized the bridge had been cut, and plummeted into the raging, half-frozen river below. Sorry, there's something in my eye. For the love of God. I'm not crying yet. It's like stinging. She had forgotten how far the fall was, how violent the black river was, the white rapids illuminated by the icy moon overhead. The image shifted, and then it was dark and silent, and they were being tumbled over and over as the river tossed her in its wrath. There was so much death, Elena whispered as she watched Aelin being thrown and twisted and dragged down the river. The cold was crushing. So much death and so many lights extinguished, Elena's voice breaking. You were small and you fought so hard. And there she was, clawing at the river, kicking and thrashing, trying to get the surface to the air, and she could feel and to the air, and she could feel her lungs begin to seize, feel the pressure building. Then light flickered from the amulet of Arinth hanging around her neck, greenish symbols fizzing like bubbles around her. Elena slid to her knees, watching the amulet glow beneath the water. They wanted me to take you right then. You had the amulet over Rinth. Everyone thought you were dead, and the enemy was distracted with the slaughter. I could take you, help you track down the other two keys. I was allowed to help you to do that much, and once we got the other two, I was to force you to forge the lock anew, to use every last drop of you to make the lock, summon the gate, put the keys back into it, send them home, and end it all. You had enough power even then. It'd kill you to do it, but you were likely dead anyway, so they let me form a body to get you. Elena took a shuddering breath as a figure plunged into the water. A silver-haired, beautiful woman in an ancient dress. She grabbed Aelin around the waist, hauling her up, up, up. They hit the surface of the river, and it was dark and loud and wild, and it was all she could do to grab the log Elena shoved her onto, to dig her nails into the soaked wood and cling to it while she carried downriver deep into the night. I hesitated, Elena breathe. You clung to the log with all your strength. Everything had been taken from you. Everything, and yet you still fought. You did not yield. And they told me to hurry because even then their power to hold me in that solid body was fading. They had said to just take you and go. But I hesitated. I waited until you got to the riverbank. Mud and reeds and trees looming overhead, snow still patching the steep hill of the bank. Aelin watched herself crawl up the riverbank, inch by painful inch, and she felt the phantom icy mud beneath her nails, felt her broken, frozen body as it slumped onto the earth and shuddered over and over. A lethal cold gripped her while Elena hauled herself onto the bank beside her. As Elena lunged for her, screaming her name, cold and shock setting in. I thought the danger would be drowning, Elena whispered. I didn't realize being out in the cold for so... God, you're a dumbass. Sorry.
She's talking about a fictional character. She's talking about a fictional
Fictional
character.
character. Yes, fictional character.
Not real.
Not real.
Huh.
Her lips had gone blue. Aelin watched her own small chest rise, fall, rise, then stop moving all... You... What?
Huh.
Wait. She unalived.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, how the... Okay, let's keep going. Elena whispered. Right there, you unalived. You had fought so hard, and I failed you. And in that moment, I didn't care that I again failed the gods or my promise to make it right, or any of it. All I could think, tears ran down Elena's face. All I could think was how unfair it was. You had not even lived. You had not even been given a chance. And all those people who had wished and waited for a better world, you would not be there to give it to them. Oh, gods. Oh, gods indeed, ma'am. Elena, Aelin breathed. The Queen of Ardalan sobbed into her hands, even as her former self shook Aelin over and over, trying to wake her, trying to revive the small body that had given out. Elena's voice broke. I could not allow it. I could not endure it, not for the god's sake, but for your own. Light flared at Elena's hand, then down her arm, then along her whole body. Fire. She wrapped herself around Aelin, the heat melting the snow around them, drying her ice-crusted hair. Lips that were blue turned pink, and a chest that had stopped breathing now lifted. Darkness faded to the gray light of dawn, and then I defied them. Elena set her down between the reeds and the rose, scanning the river, the world. I knew who had an estate near the river. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I thought we were done with him, but I guess not.
Nope.
Okay, I knew who had an estate near this river, so far away from your home that your parents had tolerated its presence as long as he was not stupid enough to stir up trouble. Elena, a mere flicker of light, tugged Arabin from a deep sleep inside his former residence in Paris. As if in a trance, he shoved on his boots, his red hair gleaming in the light of dawn, mounted his horse, and set off into the woods. So young, her former master, only a few years older than she was now. Arabin's horse paused as if an invisible hand had yanked its bridle. And
Vital. Yeah.
listen, I don't do horses,
I
okay?
know.
And the assassin scanned the raging river, the trees, as if looking for something he didn't even know was there. But there was Elena, invisible in the sunlight, crouching in the reeds, when Arabin's eyes fell upon the small, dirty figure unconscious on the riverbank. He leapt from his horse with feline grace, slinging off his cloak as he threw himself to his knees in the mud and knelt for her breathing. I knew what he was, what he'd likely do with you, what training you would receive, but it was better than unalived. And if you could survive, if you could grow up strong, if you could have a chance to reach adulthood, I thought perhaps you could give those people who had wished and dreamed of a better world at least give them a chance, help them, before the debt was called in again. Are you serious? Okay. Arabin's hands hesitated as he noticed the amulet of a Rinth. He eased the amulet from around her neck and placed it in his pocket. Gently he scooped her up in his arms and carried her to the bank to his waiting horse. Sent her to a groomer. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Elena.
Ugh.
Smart move there.
You were
So
so
intelligent.
and the more and more than the dreamers, more than the dead, I wanted to give you time to at least know what it was to live. Aelin rasped. What was the price, Elena? What did they do to you for this? Elena wrapped her arms around herself as the image faded. Erwin mounting his horse, Aelin in his arms. Mist swirled again. When it was done, Elena managed to say, I go too. For the first time, I brought you. When this game is finished, my soul will be melted back into the darkness. I will not see Gavin or my children or my friends. I will be gone forever. Did you know that before you? Yes, they told me over and over, but I couldn't. I couldn't do it. Aelin slid to her knees before the queen, took Elena's tear-stained face between her hands. Nameless is my price, Aelin said, her voice breaking. Elena nodded. The mirror was just that, a mirror, a ploy to get you here so that you could understand everything we did. Kind of like a letter or a journal or like something else. Something similar, like simpler, like something. This is bullshit. Just a bit of metal and glass, Elena had said when Aelin had summoned her in Skulls Bay. But now you are here and have seen, now you comprehend the cost, to forge the new lock, to put the 3 keys in the gate. A mark glowed on Aelin's brow, heating her skin, the bastard mark of Brandon. Y'all. I cannot. The mark of the nameless. This is okay. I'm a little annoyed.
Just a little.
It lives a little. Mala's blood must be spent. Your power must be spent. Every drop of. Oh, so the thing that Rowan doesn't want her to do. Got it. You are the cost to make a new lock and seal the keys to the gate. We're not even 1 chapter in. Listen, Jordan. Don't even.
Buckle up.
The gate hole. Aelin said softly, I know. She had known for some time. Had been preparing for it as best she could, preparing for the things for the others. Aelin said to the queen, I have 2 keys. If I find the third, steal it from Erwin. Will you come with me? Help me end it once and for all. Will you come with me so I will not be alone? Elena nodded but whispered, I'm sorry. Aelin lowered her hands from the queen's face, took a deep, shuddering breath. Why didn't you tell me from the start? Oh, right. That's a good question.
Inform me that I would have to die. Just tell me
Good
why.
question. Behind them, she had the vague sense that Manon was quietly assessing. You were barely climbing out of slavery, Elena said. Hardly holding yourself together, trying so hard to pretend that you were still strong and whole. There was only so much I could do to guide you, nudge you along. The mirror was forged and hidden to one day show you all this. In a way I couldn't tell you. Not when I could only manage a few minutes of your time. Kind of sounds similar to like the cursed Macatar. Remember when like Tamil was trying to tell her shit? But he couldn't.
Hmm.
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 Why did you tell me to go to Wendelin? Maeve poses a great threat. As great a threat as Erwin. Glacier Blue Eyes met her at last. I know. Maeve has long wished to regain possession of the keys. My father believed it was for something other than conquest, something darker, worse. I don't know why she only began hunting for them once you arrived, but I sent you to Wendelin for the healing, and so you would find him, the one who had been waiting so long for you. Aelin's heart cracked. Maybe it was Fenris and not Rowan. You never know. Elena nodded. He was a voice in the void, a secret, silent dreamer, and so were his companions. But the Fey Prince, he was. Aelin reined in her slap. I know. I've known for a long time. I wanted you to know that joy too. Elena whispered, however briefly. I did. Aelin managed to say, thank you. Okay. Elena covered her.
What?
Okay. I'm
What?
just gonna fucking move on. That's fishy as hell. Okay. What does she know for a long time? I know. I've known for a long time.
I know nothing at all. I can't contribute to this conversation.
Oh. Lana covered her face as those words shuddering, but after a moment she surveyed Aelin, then Manon, silent and watching. The witch mirror's power is fading. It will not hold you here for much longer. Please let me show you what must be done, how to end it. You won't be able to see me after, but I will be with you until the very end. Every step of the way, I will be with you. Manon only put a hand on her sword, and Aelin swallowed and said, "Show me then." So Elena did. And when she was done, what do you mean when she was done? Aelin was silent. Manon was pacing, snarling softly. What? We don't even.
Speed reading.
But Aelin did not fight it as Elena leaned in to kiss her brow where the damning mark had been her whole life. A bit of chattel branded for the slaughterhouse. Brandon's mark, the mark of the bastard born, the nameless. Nameless is my price to buy them a future she paid for. She'd pay it. She'd done as much as she could to set things in motion to ensure that once she was gone, help would so come. It was the only thing she could give them, her last gift to Terrasen, to those she loved with her heart of wildfire. Elena stroked her cheek, then the ancient queen and the mists were gone. Sunlight flooded them, blinding Aelin and Manon so violently that they hissed and slammed into each other. The brine of the sea crashed with the nearby waves, and rustle of seagrasses greeted them. And beyond that, distantly, the clamor and bellowing of all-out war. They were on the outskirts of the marshes upon the lip of the sea, the battle miles and miles out to sea. They must have traveled within the mist somehow. A soft female laugh slid through the grass. Aelin knew the laugh and knew that somehow, perhaps, they had not traveled through the mists. And they had been placed here by whatever forces were at work, whatever gods watching, to stand in the sandy field before the turquoise sea. Unalived guards in Briarcliff armor slaughtered upon the nearby dunes, still bleeding out, to stand before Queen Maeve of the Fae. Elide Loken, on her knees before her, with the Fae's warrior blade at her throat. Oh,
That would be
and
a good
this is
time.
where I take a sip of my cherry coke.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Maybe a
And keep
couple.
it close.
Guys, if something happens to her, I'm gonna find you all. I think I put a little too much of that stuff in there.
You need it, trust me.
Yeah. I got the ratio. I mean, it's good, but I got the ratio wrong. Okay, 69.
Let's get F in the least fun
One
way
and out
possible.
loud. Is this an out loud one or is this a silent one?
Uh, it's up to you, whichever. But at least 70 through what was it? 71 through 79, 4? Somebody, yeah.
Silent, loud. I got two mods. I'm saying silent and loud. Silent is fine, I think. Okay, I'll do silent and the rest I'll do out loud. How about that?
Mhm.
Good. We got 80 in though. We got 80 in. Well, they're outnumbered. Great. Okay. Gabriel's protecting Adian.
Mm.
Even when he's gone. Lord have mercy. His problem was his sword arm ached, his shield was embedded with arrows indented, and still more of those ships stretched away into the distance. Why does he want Lysandra to run?
Because.
Does he love her? I love you. I love you, Lysandra. Nuzzled his chicken neck. Next time, do that in your human form. Yo! Alright. Read a lot faster when I'm not doing it out loud. Death rained upon him. That's a good quote.
Mm.
Does that technically make Aedion... Jordan? We're not doing that today.
I mean, he is the wolf of the north.
Right?
North.
Jail.
What? I'm innocent.
This is the Christian channel. We don't talk about that.
No, it's not.
You know? It surely is not. Welcome to yeah, Evie, you of all fucking people. The fact that my mother is a fan of you now for showing us that that turkey, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, Sarah says read out loud starting page 636.
When it breaks.
Sure.
Okay. Well, Lord. All right. Dorian's breath burned his throat. His magic was sluggish. A headache pulsed at his temples, but he kept unleashing his power upon the enemy lines while soldiers fought and died around him. So many trained warriors, a scant few of whom were blessed with magic and had been wielding it to get past them. He didn't dare see how the others were faring. All he heard were roars and snarls of wrath, shrieks of dying people, and the cracks of wood and the snap of rope. Clouds had formed and gathered above, blocking out the sun. His magic sang as it froze the life out of ships, out of soldiers, as it bathed in their death. But it still flagged. He'd lost track of how long it had been. Still, they kept coming, and still Manon and Aelin did not return. Rowan held the front line, weapons angled, ready for any soldier stupid enough to approach, but too many broke past their magic, too many now sadly overwhelmed them. As soon as he thought it, Aedion's bark of pain cut across the waves. There was a roar of rage that echoed it. Was Aedion the coppery tang of blood coated Dorian's mouth, the burnout, another roar, deep and battling, cleaved the world. Dorian braced himself, rallying his magic, perhaps for the last time. The roar sounded again, as a mighty shape shot down from the heavy skies. Wait! A wyvern with shimmering wings, and behind it, descending upon the Fae fleet, was the wicked Abraxas! He did it! Oh my goodness! He did it! Abraxas did it! Oh my god, I love him! Good boy. Good boy. Now we're going to 70. I thought this had already happened. He went to get them. He's freaking smart. He's like, I'll show you, Mom. Good sky puppy. Why can't you be like Abraxas, Loki?
Nope.
Nope.
What do you mean? I'm the best.
He's the best. I'm a Chihuahua. All right, so now we are at 70. Lysandra knew that roar, and then there was Abraxas plunging from the heavy clouds. 12 other wyverns, whatever, dragons, riders behind him. Iron Teeth witches, hold your fire! Rowan bellowed from half a dozen ships away at the archers who had trained The few remaining arrows on the golden-haired witch closest to Abraxas. Hey, thank you for sending me a heart. Thank you. The other witches and their wyverns unleashed hell upon the Fae, smashing through the converging lines, snapping grappling ropes, buying them a moment's reprieve. How they would know who to attack, what side to fight for. Abraxas and 11 others angled northward in one smooth movement, then plowed into the panicking enemy fleet. The golden-haired rider, however, swept from Lysandra's ship, her sky blue wyvern gracefully landing on the prow. The witch was beautiful, a strip of black braided leather across her brow, and she called for none of them in particular. Where is Manon Blackbeak? Who are you? Aedion demanded, his voice rasped, but there was recognition in his eyes, as if remembering the day at the Temesis temple? Whatever.
Yeah.
The witch grinned, revealing white teeth, but iron glinted at her fingertips. Astrium Blackbeat, at your service. She scanned the embattled ships. Where is Manon? Abraxas led. It's a long story, but she's here, Aedion shouted over the din. Lysandra crept closer, sizing up the witch, the coven that was now wreaking havoc upon the Fae lines. You and your 13 save our asses, witch, Aedion said, and I'll tell you anything you damn want. A wicked grin and an incline of her head. Then we shall clear the field for you. Then Astern and the wyvern soared up and blasted between the waves, spearing. Do you think we'll get tears? Shut up! Stop! Stop with that, Sarah. As Asterns approached, the wyverns and riders reeled back, rising high into the air, following in formation, a hammer about to strike. The Fae knew it. They began throwing up feeble shields, shooting wildly from them, their panics smacking their aim sloppy. But the wyverns were covered in armor, efficient, beautiful armor. The 13 laughed at their enemy as they slammed into the southern flank. Lysandra wished she had strength left to shift one last time to join them in the glorious destruction. The 13 herded the panicking ships between them, smashed them apart, wielding every weapon in their arsenal, wyverns, blades, iron teeth. What got past them received the brutal mercy of Rowan and Dorian's magic. And what got past that magic, Lysandra found Aedion's blood-splattered stare. The general prince smirked in the insolent way of his, sending a thrill wilder than bloodlust through her. We don't want the witches to make us look bad, do we? Lysandra returned his smirk and lunged back into the fray. Okay, let me get some drink real quick. Oh, okay. Not anymore. Rowan's magic was strained to the breaking point, his panic a dual roaring in the back of his mind, but he kept attacking, kept swinging his blades at any that got past his wind and ice or Dorian's own blast of raw, unchecked power. Fenris, Lorcan, and Gavriel had bolted an hour or lifetimes ago, vanishing to wherever Maeve had no doubt summoned them, but the Armada held fast. Whoever Ansel of Briarcliff's men were, they weren't cowed by the Fae warriors, and there were no strangers of bloodshed, neither was Rolf's men. None of them ran. The 13 continued to wreak havoc on Maeve's panicking fleet. Astron Blackbeak barred commands high above the 12 witches, breaking the enemy lines with fierce, clever determination. If this was how one coven fought, then an army of them. Rowan gritted his teeth at the remaining ships, deciding to be smarter than their dead companions, and began to peel away. If Maeve gave the order to retreat, too bad, too damn bad. He'd send her own ship down to the inky black himself. He gave Astern a sharp whistle the next time she passed overhead, rallying for 13 again. She whistled back in confirmation. The 13 launched after the fleeing armada. The battle ebbed, red waves laden with debris flowing past the swift tide. On the swift tide. Rowan gave the order to the captain to hold the lines and deal with any stupidity for Maeve's armada if any ships decided not to turn tail. His legs trembling, arms shaking so badly he was afraid that if he let go of his weapons he wouldn't be able to pick them up again. Rowan shifted and soared high. His cousins had joined the 13 in their pursuit of the fleet now, trying to run. He avoided the urge to count, but Rowan flew higher, scanning. There was one boat missing, a boat he'd sailed on, worked on, fought on in past wars and journeys. Maeve's personal battleship, the Nightingale, was nowhere to be seen. Not within the retreating fleet, now fending off the Whitehorns Royals and the 13. Not within the sinking hulks of ships now bleeding out into the water. Rowan's blood chilled, but he dove fast and hard for Adian and Lysandra's ship, where gore covered the deck so thickly it rippled as he shifted and set down in it. Adian was covered in blood, his own and others. Lysandra was purging a stomach full of it. Ooh, that's gross. Rowan managed to will his legs into maneuvering around fallen Fae. He did not look too closely at their faces. Is she back? Aiden instantly demanded, wincing as he put weight on his thigh. Rowan surveyed his brother's wound. He'd have to heal him as soon as his magic replenished. In a place like this, even Aiden's Fae blood couldn't keep the affection away for long. I don't know, Rowan said. Find her, Aiden growled. He broke Rowan's stare only to watch Lysandra shift into human form as well and ran an eye over the injuries that peppered her skin. Rowan's skin tightened over his bones. He had a feeling that the ground was about to slip from under his feet as Dorian appeared at the rail of the main deck, gaunt-faced and haggard, no doubt having used the last of his magic to propel a longboat over and pant the coast. Adian is out by the coast where we sent a lead. They all are. They were miles away. How the hell they got in there? How do you know? Lysandra demanded, tying her black hair with bloody fingers, because I could feel something out there. Dorian said, flame and shadow and death, like Lorcan and Aelin and someone else, someone ancient, powerful. Rowan braced himself, but he wasn't ready for the pure terror when Dorian added, and female. Maeve had found them. The battle had not been for any sort of victory or conquest, but a distraction. While Maeve slipped away to get the real prize. They never arrived fast enough. If he flew on his own, his magic already drained to the breaking point, he would be of little help. They stood a better chance. Aelin stood a better chance if they were all there. Rowan whirled to the horizon behind them, to the wyverns destroying the remnants of the fleet. Rowing would take too long. His magic was gutted, but a wyvern, that might do. Interesting. I haven't cried yet.
You're on 71?
Yeah.
All right. Have fun.
Okay. Bring on the tears. Okay. 70. What?
Keep reading. Never mind.
Famous last words. Let's do this. The Queen of the Fae was exactly as Aelin remembered, swirling dark robes, a beautiful pale face beneath honest hair, red lips set in a faint smile. No crown adorned her head, for all who breathed, even the dead who slumbered, would know her for what she was. Dreams and nightmares given form the dark face of the moon. And kneeling before Maeve, a stone-faced sentry holding a blade to her bare throat, Elide trembled. Her guards, all men in Ansel's armor, had likely been killed before they could shout a warning. From the weapons that were only half out of their sheaths, they hadn't even had the chance to fight. Do you think there will be tears? I see the poll, and I'm going to ignore the poll. Mon had gone still as death at the sight of Elide. Her iron nails slid free. Aelin forced a half smile to her mouth, shoved the raw, bleeding heart into a deep box inside of her chest. Not as impressive as Dornell, if you ask me, but at least the swamp really reflects your true nature, you know. God damn it. It'll be wonderful new home for you. Definitely worth the cost of coming all the way to conquer it. Why does she gotta be a smartass right now? At the edge of the hill that flowed down the beach, a small party of Fey warriors monitored them, male and female, all armed, all strangers. A massive, elegant ship idled in the calm bay beyond. Maeve smiled slightly. What a joy to learn that your usual good spirits remain undimmed in such dark days. Oh, so they both can be assholes to each other. How could they not, when so many of your pretty males are in my company? Maeve cocked her head, her heavy curtain of hair sliding off her shoulder, as if in answer. Lorcan appeared at the edge of the dunes, panting, wild-eyed, sword out. His focus and horror, Aelin realized, on Elide. on the sentry holding the blade against her white neck. Maeve gave a little smile to the warrior but looked at Manon. With her attention elsewhere, Lorcan took up a place at Aylin's side as if they were somehow allies in this. Would fight back to back. Aylin didn't bother to say anything to him. That is, Maeve said to the witch, I know your face. The face remained cold and impressive. Let the girl go. A small, breathy laugh. Ah! Aylin's stomach clenched at the ancient focus shifted to Elide. Claimed by queen and witch, and my second, it seems. What in the world? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Okay. Where was I at? I'm surprised no one has said no so far. Why are you covering your eyes? What the hell's what is about to happen? Let the girl go. Let's see. Aylin 10. She didn't think Lorcan was breathing beside her. Maeve toyed with a strand of Elide's limp. Oh, don't touch Elide! The lady of Prince shook. The girl who Lorcan Salvater summoned me to save. The ripple of Lorcan's power the day Ansel's fleet had closed in, she had known it was a summoning, the same way she summoned the Valgs to Skull's Bay. She refused to immediately explain Ansel's presence, wanted to enjoy the surprise. And he had summoned Maeve's armada to take on what he believed to be the enemy fleet to save Elide. Yeah?
Yep.
It's not a good look. Not a good look, guys.
Nope.
Lorcan said, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Aylin didn't know if it was her. It was to her or Elide, whose eyes now widened with outrage. But Aylin said, "You'd think I didn't know that I didn't take precautions." Okay. Lorcan's brows furrowed. Aylin shrugged, but Maeve went on. Lady Elide, Lorcan, daughter of Cal and Marion Lorcan. No wonder the witch itches to retrieve you, if her bloodline runs in your veins. Manon snarled a warning. Aylin drawled to the Fae Queen. Well, you didn't drag your ancient carcass all the way here for nothing, so let's get on with it. What do you want for the girl? Okay. That hattered smile curved, made lips again. Okay, so this is where shit's gonna shift, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna take a sip real quick.
Darling.
We're gonna keep going. I put too much in there. Okay. Maybe not enough. We'll see as we keep going. Elide was trembling. Every bone, every pore was trembling in terror at the immortal queen standing above her and the guard's blade at her throat. The rest of the queen's escort remained distant, but it was to the escort that Lorcan kept glancing, his face tight to his own body, near shaking with restrained wrath. This was the queen to whom he had given his heart, the cold creature who looked at the world with mirthless eyes, who had killed those soldiers without a blink of hesitation, the queen who Lorcan had summoned for her. He had brought Maeve to save her. Elide's breath turned sharp in her throat. He betrayed them, betrayed Aylin for her. Why should I demand a payment for this girl? Maeve mused, taking a few steps toward them, graceful as a moonbeam. Why doesn't my second tell me? So busy, Lorcan. You've been so busy these months. His voice was hoarse as he lowered his head. I did it for you, Majesty. Then where is my ring? Where are my keys? A ring. Elide was willing to bet that it was the golden one on her own finger, hidden beneath her other hand as she clenched them before her. Wait. Whatever. But Lorcan pointed his chin to Aylin. She has them, 2 keys. Cold playing through Elide. Lorcan, the guard's blade twists at her throat. Aylin only leveled a cool stare at Lorcan. He didn't look at Elide or Elaine, didn't so much as acknowledge their assistance as he went on. Aylin has 2 and probably has a good inkling where Erwin hides the 3rd. Lorcan and Elide pleaded, no, he wasn't about to do this, about to betray them again. Be quiet, he growled at her. What the fuck? Bro, we bonded. We bonded, and now you're being a dick. Maeve's gaze again drifted down to Elaine, the ancient, eternal darkness in her It was smothering. What familiarity you use when you speak his name, Lady of Printh? What intimacy? Ellen's little snort was their only warning sign. Don't you have a better thing to do than terrorize human? Release the girl and let's settle this the fun way. Flames danced at Ellen's fingertips. No, her magic had been emptied. Still hovering near burnout. But Aelin stepped forward, nudging Manon with the side of her body as she passed, forcing the witch to back away. Aelin grinned. Want to dance, Maeve? You idiot. But Aelin shot a cutting glance over her shoulder at Manon as if to say, run. Grab a lead the moment Maeve's guard is down and run. Maeve returned Aelin's smile. I don't think you'd be a suitable dance partner right now, not with your magic is nearly depleted. Did you think my arrival was merely dependent upon Lorcan summoning? Who do you think even whispered to Barath you were indeed down here? Of course, the fools didn't realize that when you had drained yourself on their armies, I'd be waiting. You were already exhausted after putting out the fires I had my Armada ignite to tire you on Ilway's coast. It was a convenience that Lorcan gave you your precise location and saved me the energy of tracking you down myself. A trap, an enormous wicked trap to drain Aelin's power over days, weeks, but Aelin lifted a brow. You brought an entire armada just to start a few fires? I brought an armada to see if you'd rise to the occasion, which apparently Prince Rowan has done. Hope soared in Alid's chest, but then Maeve said, the armada was a precaution, just in case the Ilkin didn't arrive for you to wholly drain yourself. I figured a few hundred ships would make for good kindling until I was ready. To sacrifice her own fleet or part of it to gain one prize, this madness, the queen was utterly insane. Do something, Alid hissed at Lorcan and Manon. Do something. Neither of them responded. The flame around Aelin's fingers grew to encompass her hand, then her arm, as she said to the ancient queen, all I hear is a lot of chit-chat. Maeve glanced at her escort and then stepped away, hauled Alid with them, the blade still at her throat. Aelin said sharply to Manon, get out of range. The witch fell back, but her eyes were on the guard holding Alid, gobbling down every detail she could. You can't possibly hope to win, Maeve said, as if they were about to play cards. At least we'd enjoy ourselves until the end, Aelin crewed, flames now encasing her entire. Oh, I have no interest in killing you, Maeve purred. Then they exploded. 100%. Wait, poll ended 100%. Maybe one tier. Okay. Wait, am I supposed to start those polls? I don't
No.
know. Okay, I'm just gonna X out of it. But then it asked me to delete it. I don't know what's going on. Get out of here. I don't know what the hell's going on. Thank you. I don't. No, you just restarted on accident. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna leave it. I don't know what to do. I can't see it on my end, so. Okay, anyway. Where the hell? Oh, okay. Flame slammed outward, red and gold, just as a wall of darkness flashed for Aelin. The impact shook the world. Even Manon was thrown on her ass, but Lorcan was already moving. The guard holding Alid showered her hair with blood as Lorcan slit his throat. Beautiful. The other two guards behind him died with a hatchet to their face, one after another. Alid surged forward, her leg barking in pain, running for Manon on pure blind instinct, but Lorcan gripped her by the collar of her tunic. Stupid fool, he snapped, and she clawed at him. Lorcan, hold the girl, Maeve said quietly, not even looking toward him. Don't get any stupid ideas about fleeing with her. He went utterly still, holding her tight, her hold tightening. Is that the blood oath part?
Yep.
Shit. Maeve and Aelin struck again, light and darkness. Sand shuddered down the dunes. The waves rippled. Only now. Maeve had only dared attack Aelin now, but Aelin at her full strength. Aelin could beat her, but Aelin nearly depleted of her power. Please, Alid begged Lorcan. But he held her firm, slave to the order Maeve had given, one eye on the battling queens, the other on the escorts who weren't foolish enough to approach after witnessing what he'd done to their companions. Run, he said to her ear. If you wish to live, run, Alid. Shove me off. Work around her command. Push me and run. She would not. She'd sooner die than flee like a coward. Why can't you just run? I would have been gone. Feet don't fail me now. Not when Aelin was going to the mat for all of them, when darkness devoured Flame and even Manon flinched as Aelin was slammed back. Well, shit. A paper-thin wall of flame kept the darkness from hitting home, a wall that wavered. Help. They needed help. Maeve lashed to the left, and Aelin threw up her hand, fire deflecting. Aelin didn't see the blow to the right. Elise screamed in warning, but too late. A whip of black sliced into Aelin. She went down. And Elide thought the impact of Aelin Galathinius's knees hitting the sand might have been the most horrible sound she'd ever heard. Oh, I felt that. Ow. Maeve did not waste her advantage. Darkness poured down, pounding again and again. Aelin deflected, but it got past her. There was nothing Elide could do as Aelin screamed, and that dark ancient power struck her like a hammer over an anvil. Elide begged Manon, now mere feet away, do something. Manon ignored her, eyes fixed on the battle before them. Aelin crawled backward, blood sliding from her right nostril, dripping onto her white shirt. Maeve advanced, the darkness swirling around her like a fell wind. Aelin tried to rise. Tried, but her legs had given out. The Queen of Terrasen panted, fire flickering like dying embers around her. Maeve pointed with a finger. A lash whip faster than Aelin's fire lashed out, wrapped around her throat. Aelin gripped it, thrashing, her teeth bared, flames flaring over and over. Why don't you use the keys, Aelin? Maeve purred. Surely you'd win that way. Use them, Elide begged her. Use them. But Aelin did not. That's not nice. Yeah, that is not nice. The darkness coiled tighter. The coil of darkness tightened around Aelin's throat. Flames sparked and died out. Then the darkness expanded, encompassing Aelin again and squeezing tight, squeezing until she was screaming in a way that Elide knew meant unfathomable agony. A low, vicious snarl rippled from nearby, the only warning as a massive wolf leaped through the sea grasses and shifted. Fenris. A heartbeat later, a mountain lion charged over a dune, beheld the scene, and shifted as well. Gabriel. What does that say?
I think they're talking about like the impact of her knees hitting the sand and
Oh,
Jordan saying
yeah.
that
Ow.
can't hurt that
Freaking
badly because
ow.
it's falling in the sand, but it's like no, it's more metaphorical.
But
Her
freaking
knees are on like she's kneeling.
ow. Oh. I was just thinking that freaking hurts. My 29-year-old ass would have been like, ow, backs out. I give up. Right back.
Same.
Okay, let her go, Fenris growled at the Dark Queen, advancing a step. Let her go now. Maeve turned her head, the darkness still lashing Aelin. Look who finally arrived, another set of traitors. She smoothed a wrinkle in her flowing gown. What a valiant effort you made, Fenris, delaying your arrival on this beach for as long as you could withstand my summons. She clicked her tongue. Did you enjoy playing loyal subject while panting after the young Queen of Fire? This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. All right. As if in answer, the darkness squeezed in tight, and Aelin screamed again. Stop it, Fenris snapped. Maeve, please, Gabriel said, exposing his palms to her. Maeve, the queen crooned, not Majesty? Has the lion gone a bit feral? Perhaps too much time with his unchecked half-breed bastard. No! Leave him out of this, Gabriel said too softly. Yeah, leave him out. He didn't do anything wrong. But Maeve let the darkness around Aelin part. She was curled on her side, bleeding from both nostrils now. More blood dribbling from her panting mouth. Fenris lunged for her. A wall of black slammed up between them. I don't think so, Maeve crooned. Aelin gasped for air, eyes glassy with pain, eyes that slid to Elide's. Aelin's bloodied, chapped mouth formed the word again, run. Lord have mercy. She would not, she could not, yeah, she can't. Oh God, this is getting a little stressful. Okay, Aelin's arm shook as she tried to raise herself, and Elide knew there was no magic left. No fire left in the queen, not one ember, and the only way Aelin could face this, accept this, was to go down swinging like Marion had. Okay. Aylin's wet, rasping breaths were the only sound above the crashing waves behind them. Even the battle had gone quiet in the distance, over, or perhaps they were all dead. Manon still stood there, still did not move. Elide begged her, please, please. Maeve smiled at the witch. I have no quarrel with you, Blackbeak. Stay out of this, and you are free to go when you wish. Please, Elide pleaded. Manon's golden eyes were hard, cold. She nodded to Maeve, agreed. Bitch, wait.
Trust the process?
What?
Trust the process. Keep reading.
Okay. I don't know if I want to trust the process right now. But Gabriel said from across the little circle, Majesty, please leave out Aelin Galathinius to her own war heap. Let us return home. Home, Maeve asked. The black wall between Fenris and Aelin lowered, but the warrior did not try to cross it. He just stared at Aelin, stared at her in the way Elide herself must be looking. He didn't break the stare until Maeve said to Gabriel, is Dornell still your home? Yes, Majesty, Gabriel said calmly. It is an honor to call it such. Honor, Maeve mused. Yes, you and honor go hand in hand, don't they? But what of the honor of your vow, Gabriel? I kept my vow to you. Did I or did I not tell you to execute Lorcan on sight? There were circumstances that prevented it from happening. We tried. Yet you failed, and am I not supposed to discipline my blood bonded who fail me? Oh Lord. Okay. You know what she sounds like? A chick that caught her boyfriend cheating and is just like letting him talk it out. And in any other circumstance, I'd be fine with this kind of dialogue from Maeve. But this is not good.
Mm-mm.
Gabriel lowered his head. Of course, we will accept it, and I will always take on the punishment you intended for Aileen Galathinius. Oh, Lord have mercy. Aileen lifted her head, glazed eyes going wide. She tried to speak, but the words had been broken from her voice blown out from screaming. Elide knew the word the queen mouthed. No, not for her. Elide wondered if Gabriel's sacrifice was not only for Aelin's sake, but for Adian's. So the son would not have to bear the pain of his queen being hurt. Aelin Galathinius, Maeve mused. So much talk about Aelin Galathinius. Can we stop with the damn name? That is such a long. The queen who was promised. Well, Gabriel, a vicious smile. If you're so invested in her court, why don't you join it? Fenris tensed, preparing to lunge in front of the dark power from his friend, but Maeve said, I sever the blood oath with you, Gabriel. Without honor, without good faith, you are dismissed from my service and stripped of your title. You bitch? Fenris snapped. Gabriel breathing turned shallow. Majesty, please, Gabriel hissed, clasping a hand over his arm as invisible claws raked 2 lines down his skin, drawing blood that spilled into the grass. A similar mark appeared on Maeve's arm. Her blood spilling. It is done, she said simply. Let the world know you, a male of honor, have none, that you betrayed your queen for another, for a bastard get of yours. Oh, shit. Gabriel stumbled back, then collapsed in the sand, a hand shoved against his chest. Fenris snarled, his face more lupine than fey, but Maeve laughed softly. Oh, you'd like for me to do the same, wouldn't you, Fenris? But what greater punishment for the one who is a traitor to me in his very soul than to serve me forever? Fenris hissed, his breath coming into ragged gulps, and Elide wondered if he'd leap upon the queen and try to kill her, but Maeve turned to Aelin and said, get up. Aelin tried, her body failed. Maeve clicked her tongue, and an invisible hand hauled Aelin to her feet. Pain-fogged eyes cleared, then filled with cold rage as Aelin took in the queen approaching. An assassin, Elide reminded herself. Aelin was an assassin. And if Maeve got close enough, if Maeve didn't, and those invisible hands cut the tethers on Aelin's sword belts. Goldrin thunked to the ground, and then daggers slid from their sheaths. So many weapons, Maeve contemplated as the invisible hands disarmed Aelin with brutal efficiency. Even blades hidden beneath clothes found their way out, slicing as they went. Blood bloomed beneath Aelin's shirt and pants. Why did she stand there, gathering her strength for one final strike, one stand? Let the queen believe her broken. Why? Aelin asked, buying herself time. Maeve towed a fallen dagger, the blade edged with Aylin's blood. Why bother with you at all? Because I can't very well let you sacrifice yourself to forge a new lock, can I? Not when you already have what I want, and I have known for a very, very long time that you would give me what I seek, Aelin Galathinius, and have taken the steps towards ensuring that. Aelin breathed, what? Maeve said, haven't you figured it out? Why I wanted your mother to bring you to me? Why I demanded such things of you this spring? None of them dared to move. Maeve snorted a delicate feminine sound of triumph. Brandon stole the keys from me after I took them from the valve. They were mine, and he snatched them, and then he mated with the goddess of yours, breeding the fire into a bloodline, ensuring I would think hard before touching his land, his heirs. But all bloodlines fade, and I knew a time would come when Brandon's flames would dim to a flicker, and I'd be poised to strike. Aelin sighed against the words that held her up. But in my dark power, I saw a glimmer of future. I saw that malice power would surge again, and that you would lead me to the keys. Only you, the one Brennan left clues for, the one who would find all three. And I saw who you were, what you were. I saw who you loved. I saw your mate.
Yeah?
You fucking bitches.
Wait, no, keep reading.
Seabreeze his what a powerhouse you two would be. You and Prince Rowan.
Keep reading.
Any offspring of that union, a vicious smirk. You and Rowan could rule the continent if you wish, but your children would be powerful enough to rule an empire that would sweep the world.
All we ever said was you can only have one mate. So keep reading.
Okay. Can I just
It
take
gets
a second? Can I just take like 1 second? Because I was fucking right. I don't care the reasoning.
there. You do.
I do. Yeah, Jordan, we were right. Me and Jordan had a little private chat. We thought y'all were lying to us, and guess what you were?
No, we only said that you can only have one mate. We never lied.
Not just a single thing. God damn it. And we got freaking King of Ash after this. Aelin closed her eyes. The Fae males were shaking their heads slowly, not believing it. I didn't know what you would be when you be born, but when Prince Rowan Whitethorn came into the world, when he came of age and was the strongest purebred Fae male in the realm, you were still not here. And I knew what I would have to do to leash you, to break you to my will, to hand over the keys without thought once you were strong and trained enough to acquire them. Aelin's shoulders shook, tears slid down her eyes. It was so easy to tug the right psychic threads the day Rowan saw Lyria in the market, to shove him down the other path, to trick those instincts. A slight altering of fate. Oh gods, Fenris breathed, Maeve said. So your mate was given to another, and I let him fall in love. Let him get her with child, and then I broke him. No one ever asked how those enemy forces came to pass by his mountain home. Aelin's knees gave out completely. Only the invisible hands kept her upright as she wept. He took the blood oath without question, and I knew that whenever you were born, whatever age you'd come, whenever you come of age, I'd ensure that your paths cross, and you'd take one look at each other, and I'd have you by the throat. Anything I asked for, you'd give me, even the keys. For your mate, you could do no less. You almost did the day in Dornow.
We did not lie.
You know what?
Not once.
Y'all are sneaky bitches. That's all I'm saying.
You can only have one mate. It's not our fault you thought Lyria was his mate. So we did not lie.
Onward. What else is in the in these pages. Let's see. Let's just do it. Slowly, Aelin slid her feet under herself, the movement so pained that the lead cringed, but Aelin lifted her head, her lips curling back from her teeth. I will kill you, Aelin snarled to the Fae Queen. That's what you said to Rowan after you met him, wasn't it? Maeve's faint smile lingered. I pushed and pushed your mother to bring you to me so you could meet him, so I could have you at last when Rowan felt the bond, but she refused. And we know how well that turned out for her. And during those 10 years afterwards, I knew you were alive somewhere, but when you came to me, when you and your mate looked at each other with only hate in your eyes, I'll admit I did not anticipate it. That I had broken Rowan Whitethorn so thoroughly that he did not recognize his own mate, that you were so broken by your own pain you didn't notice either. And when the signs appeared, the Karen and Bond washed away any suspicion on his part that you might be his, but not you. How long has it been, Aelin, since you realized he was your mate? Wait, so she's fucking known?
Mm.
Aelin said nothing, her eyes. Bitch, we're the readers. We're supposed to know. The lead whispered, leave it alone. Lorcan's grip on her tightened as warning. Maeve ignored her. Well, when did you, at 10? At Genesis Temple? That's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
The moment the arrow went through his shoulder months ago. That's a long time ago.
She's known for a while.
And you've hidden it from him, no doubt, to save him from any guilt regarding Lyria, any sort of emotional distress. Maeve clicked her tongue. What a noble little liar you are. Aelin stared at nothing, her eyes going blank. I had planned for him to be here, Maeve said, frowning at the horizon. Since letting you two go the day in Dornell was so that you could lead me to the keys again, I even let you think you had gotten away with it by freeing him. You have no idea that I unleashed you. But if he's not here, I'll have to make do. Aelin stiffened. Fenner snarled in warning. Maeve shrugged. If any consolation, Aelin, you would have had 1,000 years with Prince. The world slowed, and Alid could hear her own blood roaring in her ears as Maeve said, "My sister Mab's line ran true. The full power, shifting abilities, and immortality of Fae. You're likely about 5 years away from settling." Aelin's face crumpled. There was not a drain of magic and physical strength, but of spirit. Perhaps we'll celebrate your settling together, Maeve mused, since I'll certainly have no plans to waste you on that lock, to waste the keys, when they are meant to be wielded, Aelin. Maeve, please, Fenris breathed. Maeve examined her immaculate nails. What I find to be truly amusing is that it seems I didn't even need you to be Rowan's mate, or really need to break him at all. A fascinating experiment in my own power, if anything, but since I doubt you'll still go willingly, not at least without trying to die on me first, I'll let you have a choice. Aelin seemed to brace herself as Maeve lifted her hand and said, Karen. Wait, is that the dude that tortures people?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
That
Oh,
replaced
shit.
Rowan.
Oh, shit. I hate. Oh, fuck. The males went rigid. That's not good. Lorcan turned near Farrell behind the lead. That's not good. Suddenly trying to drag her back. Again, not good. To work behind an order he'd been given. A handsome. Oh, he's handsome. Fuck you for being.
No.
I'm
No.
not saying anything. I'm just saying, oh, he's handsome. Fuck you for being handsome. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Keep it that way.
I don't need another fucking spider walking into my room. Fuck.
No, you don't.
A handsome brown-haired warrior walked toward them from the cluster of escorts. Handsome, if it weren't for the sadistic cruelty singing in his blue eyes. See? There you go. If it wasn't for the blades at his sides, the whip curled around one hip, the sneering smile. She'd seen that smile before on Vernon's face, on so many faces in Marath. Allow me to introduce the newest member of my cadre, as you'd like to call him. Karen, meet Aelin Galathinius. I'm not liking this. Karen stepped up to his queen's side, and the look the male gave Elid's queen might have had her stomach turn. Sadist, yes, that was the word from him, without him even saying one himself. Karen, Maeve said, it is trained in abilities that will have you that you have in common. Of course, you only had a few years to learn the art of torment, but perhaps Karen can teach you some of the things he learned in his centuries of practice. Okay. Fenris paled with rage. Maeve, I beg you. Darkness slammed into Fenris, shoving him to his knees, forcing his head to the dirt. That is enough, Maeve hissed. Maeve was smiling again when she turned back to Aelin. I said you had a choice, and you do. Either you come willingly with me and get acquainted with Cairn, or those eyes slid to Lorcan to Elide, and Elide's heart stopped as Maeve said, or I will take you and bring Elide Lorcan with us. I'm certain she and Cairn will get along wonderfully. Son of a bitch! It's gonna take a little bit of a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a more drink. I'm just gonna keep drinking. Yeah. Okay. Leave baby Elide out of this. Why is she like this?
Maeve?
Yeah, why is she like this?
Because she's Vogue.
That's not a reason to be a bitch. So.
I mean, Erewhon's Erewhon, so.
I said the same thing word for word. All right, 72. Let's freaking go, guys. Aelin's body hurt. I bet it. Everything hurt. Her blood, her breath, her bones. There was no magic left. Nothing left to save her. No, Lorcan said softly. Just turning her head sparked agony down her spine, but Aelin looked at Elide, at Lorcan, forced to hold her, his face white with pure terror as he glanced between Cairn and Maeve and Elide. Manon was doing the same, sizing up the odds, how fast she'd be able to clear the area. Good, good. Manon would get Elide out. The witch had been waiting for Aelin to make a move, not realizing that she had nothing left. There was no power left for a final strike. And the dark power was still coiled around her bones so tightly that one more aggression, one more, and her bones would snap. Maeve said to Lorcan, no to what, Lorcan? Elide. Loken, they're so, oh my god, it's so similar.
Lorcan.
Lorcan. Being taken with us if Aelin decides to put a fight, or my generous offer to leave Elide if her majesty comes willingly. One look at the brown-haired Fey warrior king staring at Maeve's side, and Aelin had known what he was. She'd killed enough of them over the years. She'd spent time with Rourke Farron. What he'd do to Elide, Lorcan also knew what a male like Karen would do to a young woman, and if he was sanctioned by Maeve herself, oh god. Lorcan said, she is innocent. Take the queen and let us go. Manon even snapped at Maeve. She belongs to the Iron Teeth. If you have no quarrel with me, you have no quarrel with her. Leave Elide Lorcan out of this. Maeve ignored Manon and drawled to Lorcan. I command you to stand down. I command you to watch and do nothing. I command you to not speak or move until I say so. That order applies to you as well, Fenris. And Lorcan obeyed, so did Fenris. Their bodies simply stiffened, and then nothing. Elide twisted to beg Lorcan, you can stop this, you can fight it. Elide didn't even look at her. Aelin knew Elide would fight, would not understand that Maeve had been playing the game for centuries and had waited until this moment, until the trap was perfect to seize her. Aelin found Maeve smiling at her. She had played and gambled and lost. Maeve nodded as if to say yes. The unknown question danced in Aelin's eyes as Elide screamed at Lorcan, at Manon to help. But the witch knew her orders, her task. Maeve read the question in Aelin's face and said, I will bear the keys in one hand, and Aelin Fireringer in the other. She had to break her first, kill her or break her, Karen grinned. Oh, God. Rowan, where you at? Their escorts were now hauling something up the beach. From the longboat that had roared up from the winged ship, already the dark sails were unfurling. Elide faced Maeve, who did not deign to glance away. Please, please. Aelin simply nodded at the Fey Queen, her acceptance and surrender. Maeve bowed her head, triumph dancing on her red lips. Lorcan released her. The warrior's hands slackened to his sides, and because she won, Maeve even loosened her power's grip on Aelin's bones, allowed Aelin to turn to Manon, or to Elide and say, "Go with Manon, she will take care of you." Elide began crying, shoving away from Lorcan. "I'll go with you. I'll come with you." The girl would. The girl would face Karen and Maeve, but Terrasen would need the sword of courage. If it was to survive, if it was to heal, Terrasen would need a lead lock-in. Lord have mercy. "Tell the others," Aelin breathed, trying to find the right word. "Tell the others I am sorry. Tell Lysandra to remember her promise and that I will never stop being grateful. Tell Aedion, tell him it was not his fault," and that her voice cracked. "I wish he'd be able to take the oath, but Terrasen will look to him now and the lines must not break." Elide nodded, tears sliding down her blood-splattered face. "And tell Rowan." Aelin's soul splintered as she saw the iron box the escorts now carried between them. An ancient iron coffin big enough for one person, crafted for her. Okay. "And tell Rowan," Aelin said, fighting her own sob, "that I'm sorry I lied, but tell him it was all borrowed time anyway. Even before today, I knew it was all borrowed time, but I still wish we had more of it." She passed her trembling mouth. "Tell him he has to fight. He must save Terrasen. Remember the vows he made to me. And tell him thank you for walking that dark path with me to the light." They opened the lid of the box, pulling out long, heavy chains within. One of the escorts handed Maeve an ornate iron mask. She examined it in her hands. The mask, the chains, the box had all been crafted long before now, centuries ago, forged to contain and break malice. Aelin glanced at Lorcan, whose dark eyes were fixed on her own, and gratitude shone there for sparing the young woman he had given his heart to, whether he'd known it or not. Elide begged Maeve on one last time, "Don't do this." Aelin knew it would do her no good, so she said to Elide, "I'm glad we met. I'm proud to know you, and I think your mother would have been proud of you too, Elide." Maeve lowered the mask and drawled to Aelin, "Rumor claims you will bow to no one, Aerofire." The serpentine smile. "Well, now you will bow to me." She pointed to the sand. Aelin obeyed. Her knees barked as she dropped to the ground. "Lower." Aelin slid her body until her brow was in the sand. She did not let herself feel it. Let her soul feel it. Good. Elid was sobbing, wordlessly begging, "Take off your shirt." Aelin hesitated, realizing where this was going. Why Karen's belt carried a whip. "Take off your shirt." Aelin tugged her shirt off out of her pants and slung it over her head, tossing it to the sand beside her. Then she removed the flexible cloth around her breasts. Varric, Heron, two females came forward. Aelin didn't fight as they each gripped her by an arm and hauled her up, spreading her arms wide. The sea air kissed her breast, her navel. 10 lashes, Karen. Let Her Majesty have a taste of what to expect when we reach our destination if she does not cooperate. It would be my pleasure, lady. Aelin held Karen's vicious gaze, willing ice into her veins as he thumbed free the whip, as he raked his eyes over her body and smiled, a canvas for him to paint with blood and pain. Aelin said, the mask dangling from her fingers. "Why don't you count for us, Aelin?" Aelin kept her mouth shut. "Count, or we'll begin again. With each stroke you miss. You decide how long this goes on, unless you'd rather Elide Locken, whatever, receive these strokes." "No, never. Never anyone else but her, ever." But as Karen walked slowly, savoring each step as he let the whip drag across the ground, her body betrayed her, began shaking. She knew the pain, knew what it would feel like, what it would sound like. Her dreams were still full of it. No doubt why Maeve had picked a whipping, why she had done it to Rowan and Dornell. Karen halted. She felt him studying the tattoo on her back, Rowan's loving words written in the old language. Karen snorted. Then she felt him revel in how he would destroy that tattoo. Begin, Maeve said. Karen breath sucked in. And even bracing herself, even clamping down hard, there was nothing to prepare for the crack, the sting, the pain. She did not let herself cry out, only hiss through her teeth. A whip wielded by an overseer at Endover was one thing. One wielded by a fully blooded male. Blood slid down the back of her pants, her skin, oh God, her split skin screaming. But she knew how to pace herself, how to yield to pain, how to take it. What number was that, Aelin? She would not. She would never count for that Redding bitch. Start over. Oh my God.
Hmm.
A breathy laugh, then a crack in the pane, and Aelin arched, the tendons in her back nearly snapping as she panted
Oh.
the clenched teeth. The males holding her gripped her firm enough to bruise. Maeve and Karen waited. Aelin refused to say the word, to start the count. She'd die before she did. Oh gods, Elide sobbed. Start over. Maeve merely ordered over the girl. So Karen did. Again, again, again. They started over 9 times before Aelin finally screamed. The blow had been right atop another, tearing down to the bone. Again, 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 again. Karen was panting. Aelin refused to speak. Start over. Maeve repeated. Majesty, murmured one of the males holding her. It might be prudent to postpone until later. There's still plenty of skin. Karen snapped. But the male said, others are approaching, still far off, but approaching. Rowan. Aelin whimpered then. Time. She needed time. Maeve made a small noise of distaste. We'll continue later. Get her ready. Aelin could barely lift her head as the males heaved her up. The movement set her body roaring in such pain the darkness swarmed in. But she fought it, gritted her teeth, and silently roared back at the agony, the darkness. A few feet away, Elide slid to her knees as if to beg until her body gave out, but Manon caught her. We're going now, Manon said, tugging her away, inland. No, Elide spat, thrashing. Morkan's eyes widened, but when Maeve commanded, or with Maeve's command, he couldn't move, couldn't do anything as Manon slammed the hilt of Windcleaver into the side of Elide's head. The girl dropped like stone. That was all Manon needed to haul her over her shoulder and say to Maeve, good luck. Her eyes slid to Aelin's once, only once. Then she looked away. Maeve ignored the witch, and Manon prowled toward the heart of the marshes. Lorcan's body strained like he was fighting the blood oath with everything in him. Aelin didn't care. The males half dragged her toward Maeve, toward the iron box and chains and the iron mask. Whirls of fire, little suns and embers had been shaped into the dark surface, a mockery of the power it was to contain. The power Maeve had needed to ensure was fully drained before she locked her up, the only way she could ever be locked up. Every inch her feet dragged through the sand was a lifetime. Every inch was a heartbeat. Blood soaked her pants, she likely wouldn't be able to heal her wounds within all that iron, not until Maeve decided to heal them herself. But Maeve wouldn't let her die, not with the word keys in balance, not yet. Time. She was grateful Lena had given her that stolen time. Grateful she had met them all, that she had seen some small part of the world, had heard some lovely music, had danced and laughed and known true friendship. Grateful that she had found Rowan. She was grateful. So Aelin Galathinius dried her tears and did not fight when Maeve strapped the beautiful iron mask over her face. Damn. It's not good.
No.
Are
What
you good?
chapter are we on?
73?
How much are you just starting 73 or
Yeah, I'm
are
just
we
starting.
okay.
This is a long live. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just trying to remember where everything is. That is all.
We're on page 666. Yeah, that's
Got
not
it,
good.
girl.
That's not good. What's going on?
No.
Is it going to get sadder?
Mm. Keep reading, you'll find
Okay.
out.
All right. Manon kept walking. She didn't dare look back, didn't dare give the ancient cold-eyed queen one hint that Aelin did not possess. What? Manon! That Aelin had slipped them both into Manon's pocket when she'd nudge her. Girl, what are you doing? You would hate her for it? Already did hate her for it? Let that be the cost. One look from Aelin, she had known what she had to do. Get away from Maeve, get Elide away. They had forged an iron box that contained the Queen of Terrasen. Elide stirred, at last coming to, just as they were nearly out of hearing range. She began thrashing, and Manon dumped her behind a dune, gripping her back of her neck so tightly Elide still at the iron nails piercing her skin. Could it get sadder? Yeah, it could get a lot sadder. But that's just me. Silence hissed, and Elide obeyed. Keeping low, they peered through the grasses. Only a moment she could spare, only a moment to watch, to glean when where Maeve was taking the Queen of Terrasen. Lorcan remained frozen at Maeve had commanded. Gavriel was barely conscious, panting in the grass as if ripping the blood oath from him had been as grave as a physical wound. Fenris's eyes were so alive with hatred as he watched Maeve and Karen, blood-coated Karen's whip, still dangling at his side as Maeve's soldiers finished strapping the mask over Aelin's face. Then they clamped irons around her wrists, ankles, neck. No one healed her ravaged back, barely more than a bloody slab of meat, as they guided her into the iron box, made her lie, upon the wounds, and then slid the lid into place, locked it. Elide vomited onto the grass. Manon put a hand on the girl's back as the males began carrying the box down the dunes to the boat and then ship beyond. Fenris, go. Maeve ordered, pointing to the ship. Breathing raggedly but unable to refuse the order, Fenris followed. He glanced once at the white shirt discarded on the beach. It was splattered with spray from the whipping. Then he was gone, stepping through the air and wind and into nothing. Alone with Lorcan, Maeve said to the warrior, "You have done all this for me?" He did not move. Maeve said, "Speak." Lorcan loosened his shudder but said, "Yes, yes, it was all for you, all of it." Well, shit. Elide gripped the seagrass in fistfuls, and Manon half wondered if she had grown iron nails and shredded apart. Her face in fury, the hate. Maeve stepped over Aelin's blood-splattered shirt and brushed her hand over Lorcan's sheet. I have no use, she crooned, for self-righteous males who think they know best. He stiffened. "Majesty, I strip you of your blood oath. I strip you of your assets and your titles and your properties. You, like Gavriel, are released with dishonor and shame. You are exiled from Dornell for your disobedience or treachery. Should you step foot inside my borders, you will die. Majesty, I beg you, go beg someone else. I have no use for a warrior I can't trust. I rescind my kill order. Letting you live with the shame will be far worse for you, I think." Blood welled at his wrists, then hers, spilling on the ground. Lorcan fell to his knees. "I do not suffer fools gladly," Maeve said, leaving him in the sand, and walked away. As if she had dealt him a blow, the twin to Gavriel's, Lorcan couldn't seem to move, to think or breathe. He tried clawing through. Toward Maeve, the bastard tried crawling. "We need to go," Manon murmured. The moment Maeve checked to see that where the keys were, they had to go. A roar grumbled on the horizon. Abraxas. Her heart thundered in her chest, joy sparking, but Elide remained in the grass, watching Lorcan crawl toward the queen, now striding across the beach, black gowns flowing behind her. Watching the boat row to the awaiting ship, the iron coffin in its center. Maeve sitting beside it, one hand on the lid. For her sanity, Manon prayed that Aelin wouldn't be awake the entire time she was inside. And for the sake of their world, Manon prayed that Queen of Terrasen could survive it, only so Aelin could then die for them all. Well, that's not good.
No.
Why was he crawling after Maeve, though?
Mildly interesting.
Mildly interesting. You know what's mildly interesting? The fact that they were mates. That's what's mildly interesting. The fact that I called it out. That's what's mildly
We
interesting.
never said they weren't. We just said that you can only have
You
one.
lied by omission.
We can't. No.
You
We
lied by
don't
omission.
spoil things.
You lied by omission.
You don't want us to spoil stuff, so we don't spoil stuff.
No, but you know
If
what?
we have to improve the truth along the way, then we have to improve the truth along the
But I'm
way.
just gonna go into 74, and we're just gonna see what other lies y'all gave me. There was so much blood. Oh, that's a great way to start a chapter, guys. It had spread to where Lorcan was kneeling, gleaming bright as it soaked into the sand. It covered her shirt, discarded and forgotten beside him. It even speckled the scabbards of her swords and knives, littered around him like bones. What Maeve had done, what Aelin had done. There was a hole in his chest, and there was so much blood. Wings and roaring, and he couldn't look up, couldn't bring himself to care. Elid's voice cut across the world, saying to someone, the ship just vanished. She left without realizing. We have the whoops of joy, female cries of happiness, thunderous, swift steps. We reseat. Yeah, you did, Katie. Then a hand gripping his hair, yanking. Oh, Rowan! Oh, Rowan! Calm with lethal wrath appeared in his vision. Rowan's pissed. Where's Aelin? Yeah, where is he? Where's. There was pure panic, too. Pure panic as Whitethorn saw the blood, the scattered blades, and the shirt. Where is Aelin? What he had done. What had he done? Pain sliced Lorcan's neck. Warm blood dribbled down his throat, his chest. Rowan hissed. Where? Wait! Wife? Excuse me. Whoa, did I skip a chapter?
No.
Okay, Suriel. Celebration drink? I don't fucking know.
I mean, Maeve's now stolen his wife twice, so
Oh shit. Okay. Um Lorcan swayed where he knelt. Wife, wife, oh gods, Elide sobbed as she overheard the word carrying the sound of Lorcan's own fractured heart. Oh gods. And for the first time in centuries, Lorcan wept. Oh, were you scared? It's the consequences of your own actions. Rowan dug the dagger deeper into Lorcan's neck, even as tears slid down Lorcan's face. What that woman had done, Aelin had known that Lorcan had betrayed her and summoned Maeve here, that she had been living on borrowed time, and she had married Whitethorn so Terrasen could have a king. Oh, Lord, perhaps that had spurred into action because she knew Lorcan had already betrayed her, that Maeve was coming, and Lorcan had not helped her. Whitethorn's wife, his mate. Aelin had let them whip and chain her, had gone willingly with Maeve, so Elide didn't enter Karen's clutches, and it had been just as much a sacrifice for Elide as it had been a gift to him. She had bowed to Maeve for Elide. Please, Rowan begged, his voice breaking as the calm fury. As the calm fury fractured, Maeve took her, Manon said, approaching. Gavriel rasped from where he knelt nearby, reeling from the severing of the blood oath. She used the oath to keep us down, keep us from helping even Lorcan. Rowan still didn't remove the knife from Lorcan's throat. Lorcan had been wrong. He had been so wrong, and he could not entirely regret it, not if Elide was safe, but Aelin had refused to count. Karen had unleashed his full strength on her with that whip, and she had refused to give them the satisfaction of counting. Where is the ship? Adian demanded, then swore as the bloody shirt nearby. He grabbed Goldrin, frantically wiping the blood specks from the scabbard with his jacket. It vanished, Elide said. It just vanished. Whitethorn stared down at him, agony and despair in those eyes, and Lorcan whispered, I'm sorry. Rowan dropped the knife, released the fist gripping Lorcan's hair. Staggered back a step. In the grass nearby, Dorian knelt beside Gavriel, a faint light glowing around them, healing the wounds in his arms. There was nothing to be done for the soul wound Maeve had dealt Lorcan as well, in severing the oath with such dishonor. Manon came closer, her witches now flanking her. They all sniffed at the blood. A golden-haired one swore softly. Renan told them about the lock, about Elena, about the cost of the gods demanded of her, demanded of Aelin. But it was Elide who then took up the thread, leaning against Lysandra, who was staring at the blood in the shirt as if it were a corpse, telling them what had happened on the dunes, what Aelin had sacrificed. She told Rowan that he was Aelin's mate, told him about Lyria. She told them about the whipping and the mask and the box. When Elide finished, they were silent, and Lorcan only watched as Aedion turned to Lysandra and snarled, "You knew?" Lysandra did not flinch. She asked me the day on the boat to help her. She told me the suspected price to banish Erwin and restore the keys. What I needed to do. Aedion snarled, "What could you possibly..." Lysandra lifted her chin. Rowan breathed. Aelin would die to forge the new lock to seal the key into the gates to banish Erwin, but no one would know. No one but us. Not while you wore her skin for the rest of your life. Holy balls, wait a minute. What do you mean? Aedion dragged a hand through his blood-caked hair, but any offspring with Aelin wouldn't, or with Rowan wouldn't look anything like. We would fix that, Aedion. Oh, you would. Oh, wait. Hold on a minute. I'm so confused right now. Jillian's gone. But wait a minute. Let me in. I'm letting you in. Why did nobody ever give her an outline? I don't even understand this. This is so weird. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Where was I at? Okay. With the golden hair, the Ashra's eyes. If the line bred true, the shifter's offspring could pass as royal. Aelin wanted Rowan on the throne, but it would be Aedion secretly siring the heirs. God, it's like a Game of Thrones thing. Aedion flinched as if he had been struck. And when were you going to reveal this? Before or after I thought I was taking my goddamn cousin to bed, for whatever reason you concocted. Alexander said softly, I will not apologize to you. I serve her, and I am willing to spend the rest of my life pretending to be her so that her sacrifice isn't in vain. You can go to hell, Aedion snapped. You can go to hell, you lying biatch. Lysandra answering snarl was inhuman. Rowan just took Goldrin from the general and walked toward the sea, the wind tossing his silver hair. Lorcan rose to his feet, swaying again, but Elide was there. And there was nothing for the young woman he'd come to know in the pale, taunt face, nothing of her in the raw voice as Elide said to Lorcan, I hope you spend the rest of your miserable, immortal life suffering. I hope you spend it alone. I hope you live with regret and guilt in your heart and never find a way to endure it. Then she was heading for the 13. The golden-haired one held up an arm, and Elide slid beneath it, entering a sanctuary of wings and claws and teeth. Lysandra stormed to tend to Gabriel, with the good sense not to flinch at her still snarling face, and Lorcan looked to Aedion to find the young general already watching him. The ship is sinking and I hate it. Yeah, Elide knows how to cut people down. She's good. I love Elide. I love her so much. She can stay. I love her. Hatred shone in Aedion's eyes, pure hatred. Even before you got to the order to stand down, you did not help her. You summoned Maeve here. I will never forget that. Then he was striding for the beach to where Rowan knelt in the sand. Oh, Lord. Oh, we're almost done, guys. Okay. Let me see. 1 second. I'm trying to rest my voice right now for a second. It's a lot of reading. I haven't done this in a long time. Okay. So, what's going on with my life? Okay. Astrid was alive. The 13 were alive. And sorry, Jillian is trying to come on here, and I don't know what's going on with her internet. I guess we're just not connecting. That's okay. I'll finish it out. She said to Astrid and all of them standing among the wyverns on the dune overlooking the sea, how Astrid brushed a hand over Elide's hair as the girl wept into her shoulder. Your grandmothers What can Elide bring to Thanksgiving? She can bring whatever the hell she wants. She doesn't bring anything. We'll make it for her. Your grandmother's biatches gave us one hell of a chase, but we managed to gut them. We spent the past month looking for you, but Abraxas found us and seemed to know where you were, so we followed him. She scratched some dried blood on her cheek. And saved your ass, apparently. Not soon enough, Manon thought, seeing Elide sat in tears, the way the humans and the Fae were either standing or arguing or just doing nothing. Okay. Not soon enough to stop this, to save Aelin. What do we do now? Sorrel asked from where she leaned against her bull's flank, wrapping up a slice into her arm. The 13 all looked to Manon, all waited. She dared to ask, "Did you hear what my grandmother said before everything? The shadows told us." Astrid said, eyes dancing, and what? Sorrel said, grunted. So you're half Krogan queen, and heir to, yeah, that whole thing. I can't say her name. Ashrin shrugged. 5 centuries of pure-blooded iron teeth couldn't bring us home. Maybe you can. A child not of war, but of peace. And will you follow me, Manon asked them quietly, to do what needs to be done before we can return to the wastes? Aelin Galanthinius had not beseeched Elena for another fate. She had only asked for one thing. One request of the ancient queen. Will you come with me? For the same reason Manon had now asked them. As one, the 13 lifted their fingers to their brows. As one, they lowered them. Manon looked toward the sea, her throat tight. Aelin Galanthinius willingly handed over her freedom so an Iron-Toothed Lich could walk free. Manon said. Aline straightened, pulling from Astrin's arms, but Manon continued. We owe her a life debt, and more than that, it is time that we become better than our foremothers. We are children of this land. What are you going to do? Astrin breathed. Manon looked behind them. Oh, thank you for the crown. Thank you, Joe, for the crown. To the north. I'm going to find the Krokans, and I am going to raise an army with them for Aelin Galanthinius and her people, and for ours. They'll never trust us, Sorrel said. Astrid drawled, then we'll have to just be our charming selves. Some of them smirked, some of them shifted on their knees. Manon said again to the 13, will you follow me? And when they all touched their fingers to their brows again, Manon returned the gesture. Oh God, we're almost done. Rowan and Adian were sitting silently on the beach. Gabriel had recovered enough for the shock of the oath severing that he and Lorcan were now standing atop the bluff, talking quietly. Lysandra was sitting alone in a ghost leopard form among the waving seagrasses, and Dorian was just watching them from the apex of the dune. What Aelin had done, what she had lied about, some of the blood on the ground had dried. If Aelin was gone, if the life would indeed be the cost if she'd ever go free. Maeve doesn't have the 2 keys, Manon said from Dorian's side. Having crept up silently, her coven lingered behind her. Elide ensconced with their mask, in case she were concerned. Lorcan and Gabriel turned to them, then Lysandra. Dorian dared to ask, where are they? I have them, Manon said simply. Aelin slid them into my pocket. Oh, Aelin. She'd worked Maeve enough such a frenzy, made the queen so focused on capturing her that she hadn't thought to confirm if Aelin had the keys before she'd vanished. She'd been dealt such a wicked, impossible hand, and yet Aelin had made it count one last time. She'd make it count. It's why I couldn't do anything about it, Manon said. To help her, I had to look uninvolved, neutral, from where he sat on the beach below. Yeah, rookie move, Maeve. Maeve, you suck. Aiden had twisted toward them, his keen Fey hearing feeding him every word. Manon said to all of them, I'm sorry I couldn't help. I just googled how to like alive. That's okay. Katie. She reached into the pocket of her riding leathers and extended the amulet of Arinth and the black sliver of stone to Dorian. He balked. Elena said Mala's bloodline can stop this. It runs in both your houses. The golden eyes were very heavy. He realized what Manon was asking. Aelin had never planned to see Terrasen again. She had married Rowan knowing that she would have months at best, days at worst with him, but she would give Terrasen a legal king to hold her territory together. She had made plans for all of them and none for herself. The quest does not end here, Dorian said softly. Manon shook her head, and he knew she meant more than keys in the war, and she said, "No, it does not." He took the keys from her. They throbbed and flickered, warming his palm, a foreign, horrible presence, and yet all that stood between them and destruction. No, the quest did not end here, not even close. Dorian slid the keys into his pocket, and the road that now sprawled away before him, curving into the unknown, awaiting shadow. It did not frighten him. Yeah! Shit. So which one is gonna die though? That's my question. Like who are we sacrificing? Who's gonna be in the bonfire? Is it gonna be Aelin? Is it gonna be Rowan? Who's it gonna be? We got one more chapter, guys, and we're done. So let's do it. What if they both die? Oh, that's sad. What if they both half die? We aren't saying a damn thing. Of course not. Of course you wouldn't. How? What? You spoil anything for me? Okay. Well, if they all die, it's okay. Enough blood sacrificed for one person, but they both live. Oh, so they I get what you're saying. It's like God, what is that thing? Yeah, we know nothing. What's that thing from Pokemon? Those two evil people that are always doing things together. Okay, last one. Rowan had married Aelin before dawn barely 2 days ago. Well, what a great honeymoon. Adian and Lysandra had been the only witnesses, and they woken the blurry-eyed captain, who married them quickly and quietly and signed a vow of secrecy. Team Rocket. There we go. Team Rocket. They had 15 minutes in their cabin to consummate the marriage. Well, okay. Adian still carried the formal documents, the captain bearing the duplicates. Rowan had been kneeling on the spit of the beach for half an hour now, silent, wondering the paths of their churning thoughts. Adian had kept his company, staring blankly at the sea. Rowan had known, part of him had known that Aelin was his mate. Oh, and had turned away from the knowledge again and again out of respect for Lyria, out of terror for what it'd mean. He leapt in front of her at Skull's Bay, knowing it deep down, knowing mates aware of the bond could not bear to harm each other, and you punched her, though. Guys, there's a plot hole. He punched her that one time, a few books ago. That it might have been the only force to compel her to regain control from Deanna, and even when she had proved him right, he had turned from that proof, still unsteady, pushing it from his mind, even as he claimed her in every other way. I'm just saying, he punched her. Oh, aware of the bond is key. Punching is different. A small punch, a love. Guys, and you say I'm toxic. It was a love tap blasting off again with a totally new context. It was a flirtatious punch. How do you punch flirtatiously, Brie? Please let me know. See, Aelin had known though that he was her mate, and she had not pushed it or demanded he face it because she loved him, and he knew that she'd rather carve out her own heart than cause him pain or distress. His Fireheart, his equal, his friend, his lover, his wife, his mate. That God's damn bitch had put her in an iron box. She'd whip his mate so brutally that he'd rarely seen such blood spilled as a result, then chained her, then put Aelin in a vulnerable iron coffin, still bleeding, still hurting. To contain her, to break her, to torture her. His Fireheart, locked in the dark. She'd try to tell him, right before the Oaken converged, try to tell him she'd vomited her guts up on the ship that day, not because she was pregnant, but because she'd realized she was going to die, that the cost of sealing the gate, forging a new lock to do so, was her life, her immortal life. Okay. Goldrin lying beside him, its ruby dull in the bright light, Rowan gathered up 2 fistfuls of sand and let the grain slide out. Let the wind carry them toward the sea. It was all borrowed time anyway. Aelin did not expect them to come for her. She, who had come for them, who had found them all. She had arranged for everything to fall into place when she yielded her life, when she gave up 1,000 years to save them. And Rowan knew, she believed, they'd make the right choice. The wise choice, and remain here. Lead their armies to victory, the armies she'd secured for them, guessing that she wouldn't be there to see it through. She did not think she'd ever see him again. He did not accept that, he would not accept that, and he would not accept that he had found her, and she had found him, and they had survived such sorrow and pain and despair together, only to be cleaved apart. He would not accept the fate that had been dealt to her, would not accept that her life was the asking price for saving this world, her life or Dorian's. He would not accept it for one heartbeat. Footsteps thudded on the sand, and he scented Lorcan before he bothered to look. For half a breath he debated killing the male where he stood. Rowan knew that today he'd win. Something had fractured in Lorcan, and if Rowan had attacked now, the other male would die. Lorcan might not even put up much of a fight. Lorcan's granite-hued face was hard, but his eyes, there was agony in them, and regret, and others flowed down the dunes, the witch's coven remaining behind, and Aedion rose to his feet. They all stared at Rowan as he remained kneeling. The sea rolled away, undulating under the clear blue sky. He speared that bond into the world, casting it as a wide net, flinging it out as magic, his soul. His heart cracked, searching for her. Fight it, he willed her, sending the words down the bond, the mating bond, which perhaps had settled into place the moment they'd become Karanem, hidden beneath flame and ice and hope for a better future. Fight her, I'm coming for you, even if it takes me 1,000 years. I will find you, I will find you, I will find you. Only salt and wind and water answered him. Rowan rose to his feet and slowly turned to face them. But their intentions snagged on the ships now sailing out of the west from the battle site. His cousin's ships with what remained of the fleet Ansel Briarcliff had won for them, and Rolf's 3 ships. But it was not those boats that made him pause. It was the one that rounded the eastern tip of the land, a longboat. It swept closer on a phantom wind, too fast to be natural. Rowan braced himself. The boat shaped didn't belong to any of the fleets assembled, but its style nagged a memory. From their own fleet, Ansel, Briarcliff, and Endo were soaring over the waves in a longboat, aiming for the beach. But Rowan said, and the others watched in silence as the foreign boat crested through the surf and slid onto the sand. Watched the olive-skinned sailors haul up into the beach. A broad-shouldered young man nimbly leapt out, his slightly curly dark hair tossed in the sea breeze. He did not emit a whiff of fear as he stalked for them. He didn't even go for the comforting touch of the fire sword at his side. Where is Aelin Galathinius? The stranger asked him breathlessly as he scanned them and his scent. Who are you? Rowan grounded up, but the young man was now close enough that Rowan could see the color rise turquoise with a core of gold. Aedion breathed as if in a trance. Galen Ashriver, Crown Prince of Well, you're frickin' late, man. The young man's eyes widened as he took in the warrior prince. Aedion, he said hoarsely, something like an awe and grief in his face, but he blinked away, self-assured and steady, and asked again, where is she? None of them answered. Aedion demanded, what are you doing here? Galen's dark eyes flicked toward each other. I thought she would have informed you. Informed us of what? Because that's not Aelin's style. Rowan said too quietly. Galen had reached into the pocket of his blue tunic, pulling out a crinkled letter that looked like it had been read 100 times. He silently handed it to Rowan. Her scent still clung to it as he unfolded the paper, Aedion reading over his shoulder. Aelin's letter to the Prince of Wendelin had been short, brutal. The large letters were scrawled across the page as if her temper had gotten the better of her. Terrason remembers Evelyn Ashriver. Do you? I fought at Mistward for your people. Return the goddamn favor. Oh shit. Oh shit. And then coordinates for this spot. It only went to me. Galen said softly, not to my father, only to me, to the armada Galen controlled as a blockade runner against Ardalin. We got too hopeful after the tear for Kale. Oh, was I supposed to cry? Oops. Rowan. Ascender murmured in warning. He followed her stare, not to what Ansel and Enda now arrived at the edge of the ship, the 13 brought as they lifted their head to Galen, but to the small company of white-clad people that appeared on the cresting dune behind them, splattered in mud and looking like they had trekked across the marshes. And Rowan knew. He knew who they were before they even reached the bottom. Ansel and Briarcliff had gone pale at the sight of their layered, flowing clothes, and all the tall male in the center peeled off his hood to reveal a brown-skinned, green-eyed face, still handsome with youth. The Queen of the Waste whispered, Ilias! Ilias! Oh my god! He's back! Does Rowan know that she almost had things with him? She said, oops, sorry to disappoint you. Yeah, oops, sorry to disappoint you. It's not that sad. Ilias, son of the mute master of the Cylon assassins, gaped at Ansel, his back stiffening. But Rowan stepped toward the man, drawing his attention. Ilias's eyes narrowed in assessment, and he, like Galen, scanned them, searching for a golden-haired woman who was not there. His eyes returned to Rowan as if he'd marked him as the X of the group. In a voice, she just got beaten. It's not that sad. In a voice hoarse for disuse, Ilias asked him, I bet the Discord's going to be fucking hilarious after this. We have to come to fulfill our life debt to Selena Sardothian, to Aelin Galthinius. Where is she? You are the Cylon assassins of the Red Desert? Ilias nodded and glanced at Ansel, who still seemed near vomiting, before saying to Rowan, It seems my friend has called in many debts in addition to ours. As if the words themselves were a signal, more white-clad figures filled the dunes. Dozens, hundreds. We have a whole book, though. Yeah, that's true. Rowan wondered if every single assassin from the desert keep had come to honor their debt to the young woman, a lethal legion to themselves and Galen. Rowan turned to the crown-prince of Wendolyn. How many? How many did you bring? Galen only smiled a bit and pointed to the eastern horizon, where white sails now broke over its rim, ship after ship after ship, each bearing the cobalt flyer Wilden. Tell Aelin Galthinius that Wilden has never forgotten Evelyn Ashriver or Terrasen. Aiden fell to his knees in the sands as Wendolyn's army spread before them. I promise you that no matter how far I go, no matter the cost, when you call for my aid, I will come, Aelin had told him. She'd sworn to Darrow. Let's see. I'm going to call on old debts and promises to raise an army of assassins and thieves and exiles and commoners, and she had. She had meant and accomplished every word. Rowan counted the ships that slid over the horizon, counted the ships in their own armada, and Rolf's and Mycenaeans he was rallying in the north. Holy gods, Dorian breathed as Wendolyn's armies kept spreading wider and wider. Tears slid down Aiden's face as he silently sobbed. Where are our allies, Alien? Where are our armies? She had taken the criticism, taken it because he knew she hadn't wanted to disappoint them if she failed. Rowan put a hand on Aiden's shoulders. All of it for Terrasen, she had said the day she revealed she schemed her way into getting Arobyn's fortune. And Rowan knew that every step she had taken, every plan and calculation, every secret and desperate gamble for Terrasen, for them, for a better world. I don't care about it. He makes me mad. She had known that she would not get to lead it, but she would still hold true to the promise of Darrow. I promise you, on my blood, on my family's name, they will not turn my back on Terrasen as you have turned your back on me. And the last piece of it, if Kale Westfall and Nesrin Falic could rally forces from the southern continent. Aiden at last looked up at him, eyes wide as he came to the same realization. A chance. His wife, his mate, had bought them a full shot at the war, and she did not believe that they would come for her. Galen, however. Rowan was still as deaf as the voice that floated over the dunes as the golden-haired woman who wore the skin of his beloved. Oh, that's gotta be weird. That's gotta be so weird. Aiden shot to his feet, about to snarl, when Rowan gripped his arm. When Lysandra, Aelin, as she had promised, swept from them, grinning wide-eyed. That smile, it had punched a hole in his heart. Lysandra had taught herself Aelin's smile, the bit of weakness and delight honed with the razor edge of cruelty. Lysandra's acting, honed in the same hellhole Aelin had learned hers, was flawless as she spoke to Galen. As she spoke to Elias, embracing them like a long-lost friend, a relieved ally. Aedion was trembling beside them, but the world could not know, their allies, their enemies, could not know that the immortal fire Mal had been stolen, leashed. Galen said to them, whom he had believed to be his cousin, "Where now?" Lysandra looked to him, then to Aedion, not a sign of regret or guilt on her face. "We go north to Terrasin." Rowan's stomach turned leaden, but Lysandra caught his eye and said casually, "Prince, I need you to retrieve something for me before you join us in the north." "Find her, find her, find her," the shifter seemed to beg. Rowan nodded, at a loss for words. Lysander took his hand, squeezed it once in thanks, a polite public farewell between the queen and her consort, and stepped away. "Come," Lysandra said to Galen and Ilias, motioned them toward where a white-faced Ansel and frowning Enda waited. "We have matters to discuss before we head out." Then the little company was alone once more. Aidion's hands clenched and unclenched at his sides as he gazed after the shapeshifter wearing Aelin's skin, leading their allies down the beach to give them privacy. An army to take on Marath, to give them a fighting chance. Sand whispered behind them as Lorcan stepped up to his side. "I will go with you. I will help you get her back. Gavriel, rest. We will find her." Aedion at last looked away from Lysandra at that, but he said nothing to his father, had said nothing to him at all since they landed on the beach. Elide took a limping step closer, her voice as raw as Gavriel's. "Together, we go together." Lorcan gave the Lady of Peranth an assessing look that she made a point to ignore. His eyes flickered as he said to Rowan, "Fenris is with her. He'll know we're coming for her. Try to leave tracks if he can." If Maeve didn't have him on lockdown. But Fenris had beheld the blood oath every day since swearing it, and if he was all that now stood between Cairn and Aelin, Rowan didn't let himself think about Cairn, about what Maeve had already had him do, or what would do to her before the end. No, Fenris would fight it, and Aelin would fight it. Aelin would never stop fighting. Rowan faced Aedion, and the warrior prince again peeled the attention away from Lysandra's long enough to meet his. Aedion understood the look and put a hand on the sword of Orenth. "I'll go north with her to oversee the armies, make sure it's all in place." Rowan clasped Aedion's forearm. "The lines have to hold, buy us whatever time, brother." Aedion gripped his forearms in return, eyes bright. Rowan knew how much it killed him, but if the world believed Aelin was returning north, then one of her generals had to be at her side to lead the armies. And since Aedion commanded the loyalty of the Bane, "Bring her back, Prince," Aedion said, voice cracking. "Bring her home." Rowan held his brother's stare and nodded. "We will see you again, all of you." He did not waste words persuading the warrior prince to forgive the shifter. He wasn't entirely sure what to even make of Aelin and Sandra's plan, what his role would have been in it. Dorian stepped forward, but glanced at Manon, who was staring toward the sea as if she could see wherever Maeve had spirited away the ship, using the cloaking power she had wielded to hide Fenris and Gavriel in Straw's Bay, hide her armada from the eyes of Eelway. "The witches fly north," Dorian said, "and I will go with them to see if I can do what needs to be done." "Stay with us," Rowan offered. "We'll find a way to deal with the keys and the lock and the gods and all of it." Bye, Sarah." Dorian shook his head. "If you go after Maeve, the keys should be kept far away. If I can help by doing this, by finding the third, I will serve you better that way. You'll likely die," Aedion cut in sharply. "We go north to bloodshed and killing fields. Your head into dangers far worse than that. Marath will be waiting." Rowan cut him a glare, but his brother was beyond caring. No, Aedion was riding a vicious, vulnerable edge right now, and it would take much for that edge to turn lethal, especially when Dorian had played his part in separating Aelin from their group. Dorian again looked at Manon, who now smiled faintly at him. It was a smile that softened her face, made it come alive. "He won't die if I can help him," the witch said, then surveyed them. We journey to find the Crokins, to rally what forces they might have, or which army to counter the Iron Teeth legions. Hope, precious, fragile hope, stirred in Rowan's blood. Oh my God, we're almost done. Manon merely jerked her chin in farewell and prowled into the broth to the coven. So Rowan nodded to Dorian, but the man bowed his head, not the gesture of a friend to a friend, but of a king to another. Consort, he wanted to say. He was just her consort. Even if she'd marry him so that he could have legal right to save Terrasen and rebuild it, to command the armies she'd given everything to get for them. When we're done, I will join you in Terrasen, Aedion, the king of Ardalan promised. So that when you get back, Rowan, when both of you get back, there will be something left to fight for. Aedion seemed to consider, to weigh the man's words and expression, and the general prince stepped forward and embraced the king. It was quick and hard, and Dorian flinched, but the edge in Aedion's dull eyes had been eased a bit. Silently, Aedion glanced at Damaris, sheathed at Dorian's side. The blade of Arden's first and greatest came. Aedion seemed to weigh its presence. Who bore it? At last the general nodded, more to himself than anyone, but Dorian still bowed his head in thanks. When Aedion had stalked toward the longboats, deliberately stepping around Lysandra Aelin, when she tried to speak to him, Rowan said to the king, "You trust the witches?" A nod. "They're leaving 2 wyverns to guard your ship to the edge of the continent. From there they'll join us again, and you'll set off wherever you need to go." Maeve could have taken her anywhere, vanished the ship halfway across the world. Rowan said to Dorian, "Thank you." "Don't thank me," a half smile. "Thank Manon. If they all live through this, if he got Aelin back, he would." He embraced Dorian, wished the king well, and watched the man climb up the sandbank to the white-haired witch who waited for him. Lysandra was already giving orders to Galen and Ilias regarding transporting the 200 assassins onto Weldon's ships. Aedion monitored with crossed arms. Ansel was deep in conversation with Enda, who didn't seem to quite know what to do with the red-haired queen with the wolf's smile. Ansel, however, seemed already inclined to raise hell, and have a damn good time doing it. Rowan wished he had more than a moment to spare to thank them both, to thank Enda and each one of his cousins. All was set, all was ready for a desperate push north, as Aelin had planned. There would be no rest, no waiting. They did not have the time to spare. The wyverns stirred, flapping their wings. Dorian climbed into the saddle behind Manon and wrapped his arms around her waist. The witch said something that made him smile, truly smile. Dorian lifted his hand in farewell, wincing as a praxis soared into the air. Then 10 other wyverns took to the air behind them. The grinning, golden-haired witch Astrid and a slender, black-haired, green-eyed one named Briar waited atop their mounts for Gabriel, Lorcan, and Elide to carry them to the ship that would take them across the sea. Lorcan made to step toward Elide as she approached Astrid's wyvern, but she ignored him, didn't even look at the male as she took Astrid's hand and was hauled up into the saddle. And though Lorcan had hit it well, Rowan caught a glimmer of devastation on those centuries-hardened features. Gabriel's bark curse as he gripped the golden-haired witch's wrist was the only sound of his unease as they flapped into the sky. Only when they were all airborne did Rowan slowly walk up the sandy hill, tying Goldrin's ancient scabbard, yes, she's big mad, to his knife belt as he went. Her blood-splattered shirt was still lying there, just to the side of the pool of blood soaking the sand. He had no doubt Karen had purposely left it. Rowan bent, picking up the shirt, running his thumb over the soft fabric. The coven faded into the horizon. His companions reached their ships, and the others were ready to move the army his mate had summoned from them, pushing their longboats to the surf. Rowan brought the shirt to his face and breathed in her scent, felt something stir in him, felt the bond flicker. He let the shirt drop, let the wind carry it far out to sea, far away from the blood-drenched place that had reeked of pain. "I will find you." Rowan shifted and soared high on a fast, wicked wind of his own making. The glimmering sea sprawling to his right, the marshes and green-gray tangled to his left, chaining the wind to him, swiftly catching up with his companions now flying across the coast. He committed her scent to memory, committed the flicker in the bond to memory. That flicker, he could have sworn he felt an answer, like a fluttering heart of ember. Unleashing a cry that could set the world trembling, Prince Rowan, Whitehorn Galathinius, consort of the Queen of Terrasen, began the hunt to find his wife. And we're done with this one. Now I have to go read Tower of Dawn.